Serious question. Where do you stand right now as a student sitting the January or May CXC exam? Sure, you're standing on a floor, but can you balance an equation?
You how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
I am about to teach you everything I know about studying. If done right, you'll be prepared. If not, extra prepared. I'd like to leave you with a famous line by Abraham Lincoln. Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. Let that sink in. Let's talk about what you should expect. The general format of CSSE exam papers varies depending on the subject, but typically, each exam consists of multiple components or papers. This is a multiple-choice paper covering a broad range of the syllabus content. For example, in English A, Paper 1 includes 60 multiple-choice questions and is worth about 29% of the total assessment. The questions often test comprehension and understanding of various types of texts, such as novels, short stories, reports, and advertisements. This paper is usually more detailed and includes short answer and essay-type questions. It typically requires candidates to apply knowledge in a more analytical or creative way. For instance, English A Paper 2 involves summarizing, exposition, short story writing, and argumentative essays. And it makes up about 50% of the total exam score. This is worth about 20% to 30% of the overall grade. For students enrolled in school, the SBA is an internally assessed project that contributes to the final grade. Okay, here's what you absolutely need before starting. Syllabus. The syllabus outlines all the topics you need to cover for each subject, the structure of the exam, and what you'll be tested on. You can find the syllabus on the official CXC website or ask your teachers for a copy. Textbooks. Textbooks are your main source of information. It has all the essential content you need to learn. They often match up with the syllabus and provide detailed explanations, examples, and exercises. You can get them from school, bookstores, or sometimes even online in digital formats. Unlike textbooks, revision guides summarize key points, highlight important areas, and often include tips and tricks for answering questions. Revision guides can also be found in bookstores, online, or sometimes provided by teachers. Past papers. These are old exam papers from previous years, and they're gold for exam practice. They help you get familiar with the question formats, time management, and the types of questions that might come up. You can find past papers on the CXC website, bookstores, or sometimes even shared by teachers or online study groups or by myself. Other online resources. This includes videos, quizzes, study apps, which is a whole video by itself, and websites dedicated to helping CXC students. YouTube channels, educational websites like Khan Academy, and even CXC's own Learning Hub offer a variety of online resources. For stationery, here's what I used. Don't get me wrong, pretty notes are great, but effective notes is even better. I kept my note-taking process simple. I am not a minimalist, but I believe that it's not about how pretty your notes are. It's about what you learned from writing it. I used black and blue gel ink pens for my notes and a pack of Crayola markers for memorization. Here's what I mean. Other things include classic paper mate pencils, sharpeners, lots of erasers, a Casio calculator, a geometry set, paper clips, a stapler, and a bag to store all of it. And I never used highlighters. If you're a visual learner like myself, invest in a stack of typing sheets and a few notebooks. I prefer the one with the ring binder, but a notebook is a notebook. Also, consider getting a folder to store your notes, or else it'll end up under your bed and you'll never find it again. Also, furniture suggestions. A comfortable chair with good back support. Look for one with adjustable height and armrests to maintain good posture during long study sessions. A desk with ample surface area for your books, laptop, and other study materials. Consider a desk with built-in storage or drawers to store things. A desk lamp to reduce eye strain. Also, consider getting a footrest, whiteboard, and a laptop stand. Get yourself Google Sheets. Anything with grid works. Notion, Microsoft Excel. Because the following study timetable uses a grid system. It is based on Ali Abdaal's and Coy's retrospective timetable. Here's a bit more information. Usually, students make the mistake of making what is called the prospective timetable. It's where every day of the week is dedicated to a specific subject, if not two. For example, Monday, biology for 1 hour and social studies for 2 hours. Looks familiar? Well, there's two issues with it that is probably stopping you from achieving your desired grades. First, things never turn out as expected. What if you don't get to fit in that 2 hours of social studies in your busy schedule and the what ifs go on and on? Second issue, it doesn't show you what you know or what you don't. So use the retrospective timetable instead. So back to Google Sheets. Place all the topics for a subject in the first column, something like this. Every time you review a topic, you place the date in the second column. Depending on how well you know the topic, use this color coding system. Red, you don't know it at all. Yellow, you kind of know it. Green, you know it. Use the bucket tool to fill in the cell depending on how well you know the topic. If it's red, you know you need to get back to that topic so you won't waste a single second on a topic you already know. Make sure to pay enough attention to your weaker subjects. I will discuss the most popular study techniques. However, you may need to do some research or take action to figure out what works for you. Personally, I only found out what worked for me 3 months before my exam. I'd like to mention that studying and learning are two completely different concepts. Studying for me and many other students is to get 50 pages of notes, reading and memorizing every single line just so we could pass an exam. The problem? If I was to ask you to explain the process of respiration, you probably won't be able to provide an answer unless it's a paragraph you memorized from a textbook. And if you're just reading over notes 100 times to memorize it, I'm afraid you're doing it wrong. Here's my story. I was always an average student, just like many. I actually kind of hated school just because I thought the system was broken. To be honest, it kind of was. Fitting all that information in my head was simply too much for me to do. The only thing I ever liked doing was presentations and take-home assignments. Why? Well, I was allowed to do whatever I want. Change fonts, add pictures, make it look pretty. It was fun. Fast forward to actually studying for my exam. I was on the topic of specialized cells. Something about it just didn't click, and the notes on the page wasn't helping. At all. One particular video stood out to me. This one. To begin with, I was always a good artist. Anyway, this video explained it so well, and what was done was quite simple. If you ever decide to try the visualization technique, your drawings don't need to be perfect. Okay, here's a list of other popular methods that might work for you. Pomodoro technique. Study in short, focused bursts to keep your mind fresh and avoid feeling overwhelmed. There is an app for this, which I'll explain how to use in another video. For example, if you're studying the structure of the heart, set a timer for 25 minutes to focus entirely on understanding the different chambers, valves, and how blood flows through the heart. After that, take a 5-minute break to relax before moving on to another section, like how the heart pumps blood throughout the body. Active recall. Instead of just reading over your notes, actively test yourself on what you've learned. For example, after reading about photosynthesis, Close your book and try to write down or say out loud the key steps involved, like how chlorophyll absorbs sunlight and converts it into chemical energy. You could ask yourself, what is the role of chloroplasts? Or what is the equation for photosynthesis? Spaced repetition. Study a topic, then revisit it after increasing time intervals to move information from short-term to long-term memory. For example, if you study the structure of cells today, review it again tomorrow, then 3 days later, then a week after that. Feynman technique. Teach a concept in simple terms to check your understanding. For example, take a concept and try to explain how they work to someone else, or yourself, like they're 5 years old. If you struggle to explain a part, that's where you need to study more. Flashcards. Use cards with questions or terms on one side and answers or definitions on the other. For example, create flashcards for parts of a plant cell. On one side, write chloroplast, and on the other side, write organelle where photosynthesis occurs. Go through the flashcards regularly and try to recall the answer before checking the back. This is especially helpful for memorizing definitions or facts. That is just about everything I know about studying. I probably missed a thing or two, so subscribe because I'm about to script all the things I missed.